tell it, you guys have to promise to laugh.
Tell the joke.
Dude, my mom's calling right now.
Yes! Patch her in! Patch her in!
Let me know if you... Hello?
Hello.
How are you?
I just called back. How are you guys?
Good. I'm on with Boyan and Laura right now. They can hear you.
Hi, Mom.
Guys, hi, team.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Pretty good. It's all excellent, right? COVID. Yay.
Yay. Welcome to November Project, the show, episode 8.
You're on the show.
Oh, goody. COVID. Yay.
Still cheering for COVID.
What's your scene?
Cheering
What's
for COVID. Here's the thing, you guys. I don't really want to be on the show because you know what? I'm going to the bathroom right now, so I'm going to sign off.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I love you. I'll talk to you later. That was a nice little intro. Boyan said we really had to hook the audience right away. My mom is going to the bathroom. My joke, and you both heard it, is why did the lifeguard refuse to save the hippie? Do you know this one, Laura Green?
I mean, I think you've told me this one before, but I can't even think of the answer.
No.
Just brace yourself with a fake laugh. I need this, okay? It's a tough time, okay? Why the lifeguard refused to save the hippie? Because he was way too far out, man. Welcome back to NP, the show, where you get nothing for your time spent.
We're going to spend our time quality over quantity. Today, we're talking about Laura's 5-star review, and we're talking about Boston Marathon that no one.
And Laura's back. Laura, say something.
And Laura's back.
I'm back. I like how I'm back, but we're all quarantined, so I didn't.
No, Laura was on vacation.
Yeah.
She was gone.
Laura, I want to kick things off with a 5-star review.
Laura's 5-star review
for you and me.
5.
So today's 5-star review is going out to our friend Brogan's brother, Dan Graham. Woo! Now, the reason it's going to Dan, number one, is that because he'll never watch the show. He's a hopeful guest that we've tried to get on the show multiple times. But if you follow him on any social media, will see that he has been educating his students from his garage. So his humor and yada, yada, yada. I don't know if he's actually teaching them anything. But what this 5-star review really is for is all the educators out there who are trying their best.
Oh, so you use Deej as like a little bit of an intro to give the award to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So This is my hook. He is an okay teacher from what I can see, but I bet there are some amazing educators out there.
Yeah, I talked to Jen Ferris, who leads under the leadership of Nadeem Chin up in Edmonton, Alberta. Jen's an assistant co-leader, and she's in education, and talks and spoke to me the other day about how she's doing the Zoom class, and how she talked about how no one's cameras are on. So she's just speaking to all these black boxes with names on them, and everyone's on mute. And she said sometimes some of the boys come on and you can see them. She says all the girls are on, like there's nothing. That's her words. And I thought that was hysterical. And so, as if it wasn't hard enough teaching, now you're just talking to yourself.
And I just talked.
Jen Ferris is the vice principal, is that right? But then
that's what I thought.
And she told me recently that she often rotates in as the gym teacher. And I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in a school where it was public school, but the vice principal wore a tie every day. If he jumped into gym class and put gym clothes on, and I saw that they were as jacked as Jen Ferris's, I'd be like, holy shit, this vice principal impossible. Like, she's so jacked and like fit and energetic and ready to go. I think that would throw me off, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. It's like, yeah. So it's almost like seeing your teacher like outside of school, you know, where like that just doesn't seem right. You know, as a kid, you're like, no, you only exist in the nest, in that classroom, in the school. That's where you belong. So the assistant principal just ripping it up. And then like I could almost see this story, like the visuals are coming to life. Like I could see like Jen Ferentz in gym clothes she can do things that she never could. Like she can dunk a basketball. Like in front of the kids, she's gonna do some extreme shit. 5-star review. And Boyan, your kids are.
I have a question. Why do you think the kids are just blocking their screens? Because they don't want to be seen? Their hairs are not done? Like, what's going on?
Well, I think that was what she was saying about most of the kids. Not really, you know. I mean, because maybe they don't want to share, kind of like their scene, like to show the class your living room, or if you're on the edge of your bed, or if you're on your phone riding your bike, or if you're not social distancing, or if, like a lot of middle school kids, you want to do the bare minimum. I don't know. That's what I would do. I'd be like, okay, so so if I click this thing and then
Yeah, because my 4.5-year-old daughter, Marley, she's doing circle time with her teachers, and they had a Zoom meeting as well. And all the kids are muted, and the teacher is the one that kind of pulls all the levers and unmuting the kids. And every kid has to raise their hand if they want to speak or say something. And she had her first classroom Zoom meeting, and it was the most adorable thing. She was like sitting down and super intently, just staring at the screen. And when she wanted to add something, she would raise her hand, and the teacher's like, okay. And it was really cool. But I guess that is the age difference. So in about 10 years, she'll be like pulling all the curtains and like, don't.
Well, she'll be behind the screen smoking her cigarette.
It's whatever you don't want to happen. She's going to love video games and ciggies.
No, I like video games. Ciggies, not so much.
All right. Well, then she won't like video games. I mean, just be prepared for it. That's the deal. That's the deal with this whole thing.
All right. Okay. 5-star review. Shout out to our educators. So today is Friday before Boston Marathon. If things were normal, hopefully all three of us would have workout this morning with November Project Boston at Summit Avenue. That is usually my favorite part of Boston Marathon weekend in general, but it's also one of my favorite weekends in Boston because there's just so much buzz, so many runners. Boston Marathon is such an incredible race, an event. Just even if you're not a runner, just kind of walking up and down the streets and seeing so many people, especially if the day is beautiful. It's just so cool and so great to be around. But obviously, we are in Vermont, Minneapolis, and Cape Cod, and just not enjoying what this weekend is supposed to be. So I wanted to check in with you guys because both of you are Boston Marathon veterans.
Successful
veterans.
Successful runners.
To walk down a memory lane a little bit and talk about your Boston Marathon experiences. I can say that I did one, but it wasn't official, so we're not going to talk about that. But I would like you two to jump in and talk about your multiple attempts to run.
We should do the Marley thing. Can you unmute me?
Okay. Go ahead.
Laura, when he was talking just now, and this isn't a good story, it's just I haven't thought of this for a long time. It is sunny here today in Minneapolis, but I remember meeting you and Connor in the park, I think in 2014, when you were both running and dropping off some, like, I think we'll call them like heavily like discounted shoes that I got from New Balance because I was working there at the time.
Yep.
Whatever. You know, it's a gray area. But and I met one of your families in the comment.
My parents and my little brother.
And that's cool. That was one of the perks of working for New Balance, is that year was the year after the bombing, so 2014, super sunny day, and the shoe that came out was the 890 V4, which had the hashtag Love Boston. And our friends from Deucer worked on that project, and they were like this loud neon color. You still have them?
Yeah.
Damn, I do.
It works now.
Good answer.
Ooh, snap.
I kept one pair, Laura. I kept one pair in mint condition, as baseball card collectors would call it, in the box, and I've never worn them.
I will say I loved those shoes. I really did.
Yeah. But marathon stories, Laura, how many times have you done Boston?
I've done Boston 4 times.
God, that's freaking gangster. Boyne and I did it. It was our first marathon that we ran in 2006. And we got numbers through the Gentle Giant. It's a good first marathon. No qualifying, no fundraising. Shout out to, I think they call it a time waiver or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. It's like greasing some palms. It costs 20 cash for that bib.
Well, if you know the official movers of Boston Marathon, you get a bib, I guess.
Is that how that went? Gentle Giant?
So, yeah.
Yeah, they just said, go run it, boys. And we got, wow.
Yeah.
That was 2006. Laura, when was the first time you ran Boston?
I don't know. I don't know years the way that you know years.
Okay.
2000.
Well, was it with Leadham when you guys were pretending to be Kara Goucher and Amy Leader?
No. Yeah, I think I ran it 2011 or 12. Yeah. I mean, it was like an average year. I don't know. I ran an average time. And I ran with one of my former teammates, Amy Hicks. And then the following year was the really, really hot year.
12 was the hot year.
Yeah. So I did 11 and 12. 13, I skipped because I was injured. And I moved to California, which was crazy. And then I was back in 14 with Amy Leadham pretending to be Kara Goucher and Shalane. Yeah. Yep, that was right.
Yeah.
And the last year was 2019.
I ran
19 last year.
As a mother marathoner.
Mother marathoner. 6 months postpartum. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, you were smiling, but there was anything that was coming out of your mouth did not sound like it was fun.
Okay, well, by the time that I got to you guys, it was mile 18. That's where November Project sets up. And so I got a lot of long runs in. I did a very slow build up. I was very smart about it. I had no injuries. So that I was really grateful for. But I mean, I was still 6 months postpartum. I still had probably 15 pounds of weight on me that is not normally there. And yeah, I was feeling real good through 12 miles. And even though then that classic course, it's downhill for the first half, like downhill. And no matter how hard you try and go slow, your legs are still just have turnover that you can't control. And so if you don't have a ton of training under your belt, you hit the halfway mark and you're kind of beat up. And that's kind of how I felt. I hit 15 in Wellesley. I saw my family, my baby. He was 6 months old. He didn't give a shit.
Right.
I'm like, Jack, come here. So I used that as an excuse to stop for a few minutes because I definitely wasn't going for a time. And then I saw you guys at mile 18, and I think I was like done with the race.
Right.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna kind of run past the cheer station / hydration station, and you're just gonna kind of like take a left behind the porta potties and just kind of get off the course.
Well, I think I was averaging like 740s, 745s for the first 15 miles. And then I hit the hills and I was like, yeah, I think that's all I got. Like it went to like a 10-minute mile. And then I hit mile 18 and I came up on you guys. And the best. I don't know if I've ever even talked to you about this. This vivid memory of me running alongside you two, and Boyan is whispering in my ear. He goes, no one cares, no one cares, no one cares, no one cares. Which I know what you meant, right? It was like, no one cares that you're like out of shape and like you're not like running.
It was supportive.
He was doing it in a supportive way, but like I look back on that and laugh so hard because like nobody cares.
No, it's like if it were scripted, Boyan would be like the bad guy. Like,
yeah.
No one cares.
Like as if the hills weren't hard enough.
No one cares.
Everyone knows that there's this there's this one marathon fan guy who goes hard heckling at 18. You'll see him out there. Legend of the race. His name, we're not sure. Bald with a huge beard. He's in his 30s, 40s, or 50s. He'll rattle you mentally. He'll tell you that no one cares.
The biggest race of your life. No one cares.
Did
But
you win? No,
that,
okay, no one cares.
after I made it through the hydration station, I stopped and I had some. Oh, this is another good memory. At eating donuts, talking with you guys, and what is his name? Comes up to us with like all these different goos in his hands. From Jaybird.
Russell,
of course. I was like, Russell comes up and he's kind of quiet about it, like he's about to like deal me something.
Right.
And he's like, have this and you'll get to the end. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like this new goo that I've never tried before, which of course is like against all the veteran runner rules. Like you never try anything new on race day, but I was like, give it to me.
Fuck it.
And then I was like, thanks, Russell. See ya.
Right. And then it's like you're running into, at mile 18, you run into all these like imaginary ghouls and goblins, and one of them has a secret potion, and one of them has the real water, and the other one will tell you that no one cares. No one cares. And it's echoing. You're not even sure. Is it the forest? Is it bouncing off the buildings? And then you come through Boston College. It's this mystical place. I love it. And then there's a shorter, older man who will come to you with a mysterious packet, and he'll say, take this and you'll get to the line. It's like a choose your own adventure. Do I take it and get to the line? Turn to page 91. Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. I remember Chris Payne, like we were standing there for so long that Chris Payne came up to me and he's like, I thought you were racing.
All right, so with all that in mind, so stopping to see Jack, stopping to chat with us, have donuts, drink whatever drink Russell gave you.
Yeah.
What was your finish time?
I'm not sure. I think it was like a 3:46.
I'll check.
3:47.
Yeah, it was 3:45 or 3:46.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Which to a lot of our viewers, all of our viewers, they're just like, Laura Green, come on, really? Stop twice and you run 3:45.
This sounds like really kind of like prissy, or not prissy, what's the word I'm looking for?
No, I get it.
But well, in the last like 5K, I looked at my clock and I was like, there's no way I'm coming in under the qualifying time. I was so far off, and I was relieved because I think if I were on the line, I would be like, okay, just push it. And so that you get the qualifying time for next year. But I was so far off at that point that I just sat on back and I just kind of like cruised through Brookline at a very casual pace.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, compared to other attempts when you're running between 3:15 and 3:20, right? Like you're cruising and you're crushing it. 3:45 is half an hour slower, but still, I guess comparing apples to oranges, but nice work. We're proud of you that day. And no one cared. No one cared.
No one cares. No one cares. That's so gangster.
For getting me across the line. That's
so gangster. No one cares. No one cares. And he said it like, no less than 20 times, but also there's no breath between. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. That's fucking gangster shit. It was also a beautiful day, and for those of you who haven't been to Boston for the marathon, it's like a homecoming vibe, and it happened to be very sunny. And it didn't
start sunny.
Huh?
It didn't start sunny. It started with like the biggest downpour in the history of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the workout, MP Boston workout on Monday morning, was basically doing a lot of burpees. I felt like I did over 200 burpees.
Sure.
And they were all in 2 inches of puddles. It was just soaked. It was ridiculous. And then almost like someone came in and just kind of like wiped the whiteboard. And next thing you know, it's just like a beautiful spring sunny day. It was insane.
Was it messy at the starting line? Were you getting wet at the start line, Laura?
Yeah. Well, waiting for the buses in the common.
Right.
Like completely drenched. And then you got on a bus in a typhoon, and then all like everyone's just kind of sopping, and then all the windows are fogged and that type of deal. And then the third line was a mess, like mud, but I think at that point the rain had stopped. But it felt like we were at Woodstock, and then like, okay, I guess we're gonna go run a race. I don't know.
Man,
2019 BG.
There are some stories that I hear about Boston or any road marathon, and I'm just like, fuck, I'm definitely never doing that again. And then there's some that I hear, I'm like, or you have a friend who like puts up a fast time, like a Casey Winkler type thing, and you'll be like, I gotta get back into this, Yeah, I ran Boston a couple times. I have this thing that's very secretive, and I swear I would never tell anybody. So instead, I'm going to tell 400 viewers that are paying attention to NP the show. When I'm out of shape from run, or really in shape, in my what I would call in shape, or just haven't really had a great run, I can't really tell why or when. I'll wear this is so dorky. I'll wear the Boston Marathon qualifier jacket, which is a funny article of clothing. The Boston Marathon qualifier. So everyone wears the official Adidas jacket that comes out every fucking year with a different color, and then there's the BAA one, which is like also a different color every year, but like it's dorkier. Sorry. And then and I don't even know if they sell it anymore, but one that just says it's so bad. It says like. I think it says the word qualifier on the chest, that big. And I was laughing with Ian Nurse a couple years ago about this, because that's a very small percentage of the whole group that gives a shit, right? So if you're way outside of qualifying, you don't know what that jacket is. And if you're way below like if you're in the Ian Amanda posse, you would never, you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of people that know that it even exists. It's a small window of us that are right, or I was right on that cusp of being in or out, that think that's cool. Because if you're fast enough, you don't think that's cool. And if you're slow enough, it's so out of sight that you don't know it exists. Boston qualifier. So that's a long-winded brag. I've qualified, and I have the jacket to prove it, but I won't show it. Start wearing that.
Where were you training? Where were you
Right.
did not live in Boston when.
Right. So 2010 and 2011 was one of Boston's worst winters. And I had taken a job after I finished coaching. I took a job in South Florida for managing a company called Ocean View Rickshaw. And my friend Ben Morris and his homie Justin Bruce, they created the Boston Pedicab, which is the bicycle rickshaws that drive people to and from Fenway Park and all over Boston. And then slowly they became like the trike lords that were like creating a bunch of different cities that had this going on. DC, Newport, Rhode Island, San Francisco, different locations. They had all these pedicab operations. And they were thinking about buying this one in South Florida. So I went down there to try and tighten the screws and see how much money we could make in 1 year. And so I had like some base salary, and then I could ride for free. So I rode bikes all the time. My life was really insane. But I was running out of a 2009 qualifying time from Philadelphia, from the Philadelphia Marathon. So there's that whole thing where like you can defer it or something. But like 2011 was the last time I'd be able to use it. So I decided I was moving back to Boston, and pretty much invited myself to move in with Emily and Boyan Mandarick in their, was it 900 square feet, 800, 700?
Bedroom apartment.
And I moved in with the two of you. How was that on our friendship? We've never really gone back and like big pictured that. Was that bad?
Well, aside from the smell, you were not the worst roommate I had.
Right.
Because you were never there. You were still doing pedicab. You were still doing bold facers. You were doing all kinds of stuff. So you were a great roommate as far as like, you're just kind of like, you sleep there sometimes.
Right. The smell thing though, because I'm not
stinky stuff.
Yeah. So in this warehouse that I lived in South Florida, I call it the ware home. There was rats, and not like a couple mice, but full rats, and not like a dozen, but like hundreds. And so if you're freaked out by rodents, this place would have driven you crazy. But one of the methods to get rid of these rodents, or at least keep them away, was to put down mothballs. And so all these fucking mothballs, then all of my clothing and all my possessions smelled like mothballs. And I didn't really know it until I moved in with Boyan and Emily. And my bedroom was just like terrible. Anyway, so I come back and I'd done all my long runs that winter in Fort Lauderdale, which is very flat except for a few bridges. Ooh, I'm having like some PTSD stuff. That was a terrible time. And then Boyan, I think you and Dalton paced my last dozen miles or so from 18 in or something. And I had a really good day. I don't remember my time, but it was like 3:10:20 in that zone. 2011. Oh, it was also a year. So Laura, you mentioned that 2012 was a super hot year. 2011 was a big stiff tailwind year. So like, I think like 6 people broke the course record that day or something. And so it was an advantageous time for someone as large as I am to like use my body as a giant sail and take flight.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a turn back the clock. Yeah. So you met me and you like gave me a different bottle and some Cliff Bars. I was eating full Cliff Bars, Laura.
Right. Yeah, I met you just before BC. That's where Dalton, I think he ran like 4 miles with you, and then from BC brought you all the way to the finish line. But right. Emily and a bunch of our friends were somewhere around Washington Square, just cheering, and you had your kind of like fuel vest with a bunch of bottles. That as soon as I ran by you, you kind of passed that on to me. So I was kind of running with your fuel vest. I'm like, I'm just going to pass this on. This is kind of stupid thing to run a marathon in. So I'm just going to pass this on to my wife. But combine your sweat with my sweat. I just basically took that fuel and I just kind of like tossed it on to Emily, and she grabbed it and it was just kind of like splash.
Yeah.
E.G. Boyan grossness all over her. And then I think I was in decent shape, but I think that you were in really good shape. I think that insanity of Florida at times just kind of put you in a very dark place.
That's accurate.
You were surrounded by people in a place that you really liked and enjoyed. And I think it gave you like a superhuman strength, because when we passed Fenway Park and we passed kind of like that. No, it was right around Kenmore. You turned it on, man, and I couldn't keep up. I'm like, just fucking go, man. Just go.
Oh, I remember that. That's great.
And you went like a crazy person. And I was thinking, one day I went on a run. And I was thinking,
Laura, are you hearing this? I'm a great runner. Laura,
hold on. Don't get too excited. I had this idea about you know how they have like the videos that they're mocking basketball players and kind of like their mannerisms and when they score and kind of like the way they walk. Like LeBron is kind of like walking like this, and Jason Tatum kind of humped over. I was thinking about doing that video, but with runners. Like Patty, for example, our friend Patty, he has a very distinct stride. He kind of like, he doesn't really bring his elbows tight. His elbows.
He's carrying buckets. He's carrying buckets. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. You are running like BFG, like your your mission is just to shake the ground, right?
Yeah,
like your stride is extremely long, and every time your foot touches the ground, I feel like Earth just shakes.
Yeah.
Classic Boyan, like build up.
Take you down.
And so when you took off, I was like, I don't want to do it literally, because the sound that you were making, kind of like pulling away, just didn't sound healthy.
It wasn't good. Yeah.
Every joint in your body was breaking under just like the force of your stride. And so anyway, I think you had a good race. I think you ran.
No one cares. That was the year that Ryan Hall went pretty fast, but he finished like 5th or 6th or 7th. Man, Boston. No, I'm never going to run that again. I might. Never again. Plus, now the qualifying times are getting fast. They get faster all the fucking time.
And we're getting older, so we can still sneak under.
Yeah. Boston stuff.
So we're not going to be there on Monday. There are a lot of people that are doing virtual races or fundraising. Do you guys know anybody that's doing it? I know dudes, Brian and Peter from How's Your Run podcast. They're doing a backyard marathon. Shout out to those guys. They're fantastic dudes. Anybody else?
I'm participating in one with Wellness in Motion Boston.
Oh, sweet. What's that about?
So they're gonna you email. So they just sent out a newsletter, which has like the contact for the email. And you tell them what your 2-mile pace will most likely be, and then they're going to create teams of 13. And then you go out and run your 2 miles as fast as you can on Monday, and you send them the time and see which team wins. But it's all a fundraiser for the clinicians of Wellness in Motion Boston who aren't able to see patients right now, and they are essential to the well-being of the runners in Boston. They probably treat like 80% of the runners around Boston. So this is just one way that we can give back to those guys.
Laura, you slid through a pretty important detail there. What are you putting up for 2 miles? What's your
So a crucial part of this is to not sandbag, but then also you can't go way over. I haven't entered yet. I probably will enter 7-minute miles because the terrain around here is straight hills.
Come on, Laura, you can do better than that.
Laura Green, you're sub 6. You're sub 6.
Sub 6. I'm not doing sub 6 on hills. Are you out of your mind?
Can't you string out like 2 miles of downhill?
Yeah.
Boj, what are you doing for? I'm not saying you're doing the wellness in motion thing. I'm gonna look into it if it's not too late. It's probably too. Boj, what are you doing for 2 miles on some southern Vermont dusty road running?
I can probably do 13 minutes. Maybe faster. And we're talking about just dusty, kind of hilly, not talking about like flat track.
Yo, you know what I think is secretively super slow is Brian Fisher. Let's talk about that. Like, he's in the mix. He works for the brand. He used
Who's that guy? Who's Brian Fisher?
Brian Fisher is a former NP Seattle co-leader. But I think he's around running enough that, and then he just doesn't, like, I do the opposite. I talk too much shit. People assume I'm full of it. He's like subtle and like calm. So people, I think, give him credit. And then we found out in Vegas, he had to pull an excuse because he couldn't race the 5K against Boyan and I. And Laura.
Yeah, his back was sore or something.
I think he's secretively slow as shit.
I agree.
So, Brian, if you're listening,
no one cares. No one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
I think that's a great way to wrap up this episode.
Yeah, that's nice.
I concur. Hey, guys, great job. Happy Boston Marathon weekend. Laura, enjoy your 2-mile run. Everybody.
Brogan, no one can see you if you're not making noise.
What if I go?